Let me start with this. Why should somebody see this movie?
Well, it's an anti-romantic comedy. So basically, I grew up watching like a lot of 90s romantic comedies, and when I started to actually go out and date and meet men and whatever, I was shocked by how different it was from the movies. And this might be like a really naive statement, but I felt very sheltered. And then when I went out to the real world, I was like, wait a second, there's a huge disconnect here. So my movie Bread and Butter is inspired by a real life romantic situation. And basically, the moral of the story is, you know how 90s romantic comedies, a lot of women are like damsels in distress, and
Mm-hmm.
men save them, and yada yada yada. You know, they take off their glasses and they put down their hair, and they're like beauty queens. We wanted to make a movie that was a more realistic representation of romance in Los Angeles, and like a healthier romantic comedy. So we call it our anti-romantic comedy.
Tell me about the actual plot of the film. What's it about?
Sure. So it's about a woman, and she's a 30-year-old virgin. Basically, is a wilting lily. She's like a wallflower, and she hasn't really come to. I always talk about it like she's going through adolescence at age 30. Basically, things kind of come to a head where, through circumstances that she is not really controlling, two men start to pursue her. So it's like a traditional romantic comedy,
Mm-hmm.
but both these men are just as emotionally arrested as she is. So she's kind of figuring things out later in life, and they're also figuring things out in their 30s. And it's basically just about her learning to love herself,
Mm-hmm.
her trying to navigate the waters of romance, and trying to regain control of her life.
You talked about how like this would kind of the genesis of it came from you dating and you having these realizations. Was there any one particular moment that made you think like, oh, this would be a great movie idea or something like that?
Well, I mean, like I've been with my boyfriend for like 6 years, and he's in the movie. He plays this character named Riley in the movie. But before him, there were only like a handful of guys that I went out with, and it was kind of like a compounded situation where like I'd go on these dates, and there would be so many awkward silences, and there would just be it's just like this real discomfort between. I mean, maybe it was one-sided. But there was nothing that came easy, and there was nothing that really was magical or came together. And then when you watch a date in a movie, it's like people are so witty, and they just say these like captivating things, and I don't know where that comes from, because when I've been on these dates, I look around and I have nothing to say to this stranger. So it was really just kind of like I wanted that experience to be on the screen because when you're growing up, you don't even know. You don't even know that it's so awkward.
Oh yeah, because really just like dating is awkward. And it's not like this whole oh my god, like everybody has. I know what you're talking about. Everybody has something to talk about, and like it's like they're super confident. It always gets
Yeah,
annoying when you watch these movies and like they're everybody's hot. Everybody's like has no insecurities, and it really makes it hard.
exactly.
Exactly. So it makes like let me ask you. So let me turn this into a question. So like, does that like make it hard for people to relate to movies when you see these people? Because we're living in like the era of superheroes that have like nothing wrong with them, and it upsets me because I can't relate to like Captain America. I can't relate to what's the other ones in those movies? Like the Green guy.
Thor.
All right, Thor. I can't relate to Thor. So it's like so it's like was that kind of like out of it too, where like you can't relate to these people when you watch these movies?
That's exactly it. In fact, that's like the number one thing people say when they see our movie. They say your main character is so relatable and the situations were so real. When I watch these movies, like I'm kind of I don't know how to describe myself. I'm like a short, curvy Jewish girl, and I look up on screen, and it's like I just have Lena Dunham. You know what I mean? Like that's the only person. I have Mindy Kaling, I have Lena Dunham, I have Amy Schumer, I have like some women in comedy, but for the most part, women are very I don't know, they're just gorgeous on screen, and the men are gorgeous on screen, and their personalities are so well formed, and they've already figured themselves out for the most part. So that was another part of it, was that wanting to see something relatable on screen, something that I was familiar with.
Tell me about the casting. Tell me about the production. Like, how was it getting this movie made?
Well, it was a Kickstarter, so we really made this movie thanks to like large groups of people helping us out, and we were very so lucky and so grateful for that. I wrote the script back in like 2008, 2009, and I went to USC Film School over in LA. And when I graduated, I was like, why did I like I was doing this like silly job where I was taking care of, you know, someone's dogs, and I was like picking up their kids from school, and I was like, why did I go to film school? Why did I move to LA? So I just decided if I tell people I'm going to make a movie, I think I'm going to have to do it. So I started telling people, and then we did a Kickstarter campaign, and we raised the funds, and we shot in 2013, and we did our festival. Like, actually, our world premiere was at Woodstock Film Festival in New York.
Oh.
And, yeah, so we're like, and we played at Big Apple Film Festival a few months after that, which was in New York, and played at the Tribeca Cinemas. So, you know, we did our festival run, and we were just released on VOD in September. And I think a lot of why we're succeeding as a film is because of our cast. Bobby Moynihan from Saturday Night Live is one of our leads, and he plays a dramatic role in this movie. And I'm telling you, if you've seen Drunk Uncle, you've never seen Bobby Moynihan like this. He gives like a command dramatic performance in the film. And then we have Christine Weatherup as our lead, and she's just the most fabulous actress in the world. Lauren Lapkus from Orange is the New Black, Jurassic World is in our film.
Wow.
Micah Houtzman from Parker and Everest.
Right.
Eric Lang from Weeds, and oh God, he's in like everything. He was in The Bridge. He was in Lost. So we have like this really solid cast for an indie anti-romantic comedy. That's a lot of talking. Oh my gosh.
No, that's awesome. It's talk radio. Don't worry about it. And when you direct, how are you on set? Do you work with the DP a lot, or are you more of a person that works with actors?
I'm terrified of the camera. Like, it's just very hard for me to communicate what I want. But I had this fabulous DP. Her name is Katie Walker, and we met for months before we shot because we kind of had the luxury of time because we were constantly trying to find more money. So we until we were greenlit, and by greenlit I mean like until we had like the bare bones budget. I got to meet with actors all the time. I got to meet with crew members all the time. We had a screening series, and so my DP was just fabulous, and she's very good at working with directors who aren't great at communicating what they want with the camera. Like, she'll kind of, do you want this or this, Liz? Or, you know, what about this? And she's great with suggestions. I'm much more comfortable working with actors. But I think what is my, like, tone on set as a director is that I really just want to work with nice, creative, talented people and make it a really positive environment on set. So we had, I can't say on the radio, but, like, the No Jerk cast and crew.
Gotcha.
I met everyone, and it was basically like, can we get along? Do you want to make movies? Is this all about money for you? Are you a part of this family? And that's what it was for me, is that we had cookie hour. You know, we had, like, we just all made it a party and made it a fun experience for everyone.
Yeah, I think there's a book, what was it, written by Jerry Lewis of all people. Oh, The Total Filmmaker. And he talks about, yeah, if you can find a copy of it, I can mail it to you. I think I still have it somewhere. It's all about, like, he talks about, yeah, when you say, like, no jerk zone, you have to, like, say please and thank yous, because basically filmmaking's a grueling process, so you have to be fun with people. Have to make it fun, if that's even possible on a film set. Well,
in the world of indie filmmaking, it's like you're not going to make a lot of money. Like, where people are getting paid scale, they're really, or if they're getting paid at all. And the point of it isn't really to make money. Like, I know I'm going into a field where I have to have a second job, but I love making movies, so it's worth it for me.
Actually, on that note, because you're doing this because it's more of a passion project, are you looking for this to be something of springboard for more opportunities, or?
No, I only ever really wanted to be a feature indie writer-director. Like, that's everything I've ever wanted to be since I was 16. So I'm making a second movie in June. You know, the script, we only have one draft of it so far, but I'm rewriting it and I'm polishing it, and we're kickstarting that. And I don't anticipate a life where I'm, like, my heroes are Nicole Hollis-Center and Whit Stillman and Hal Hartley. My heroes are underappreciated, I feel, but they just keep on making movies because it's what they love, and that's kind of how I see myself in the next few decades.
Tell me a little bit about that, actually. Oh, by the way, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Liz Manashil. She's the director of the new film Bread and Butter. Well, let me ask you about the actually Kickstarter, because there's so many. You said a Kickstarter campaign.
Hmm.
How was that? I mean, you have Indiegogo, you got GoFundMe. How is that? Because you have a deadline with it. You can't just, because it's really, you have a lot of pressure on it. Because if you don't make your, basically your budget, then you lose everything. How was that? Trying to get other people to essentially try to donate to your film.
We did our Kickstarter campaign in 2012, and I researched all the platforms at that point that were out, and I think it was mainly just Indiegogo and Kickstarter at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I was advised by my friend Michael Callahan pretty passionately to do Kickstarter, and I think he's completely in the right. From his perspective, people got to be part of the momentum and part of the excitement of making a movie with Kickstarter, because it is that all or nothing approach. And with that, they kind of, it's not as if I'm kickstarting making a sandwich every day. I'm kickstarting like my very, something that I care incredibly passionately about.
Mm-hmm.
So friends and family see how much you care about something and how much is at stake, and I just feel like people get more involved with Kickstarter. We really lucked out because our Kickstarter, we did a puppet musical as our video, and the musical was called We Need Money. And so we had just like adorable puppets saying We Need Money, and it got a lot of attention. It was in Huffington Post. People from crack.com were tweeting about it. Actually, this lovely guy named Jake, I don't know if I should say his last name, he had a garage sale for us. Like, I've never met him before, and he was a complete stranger, and he had a garage sale for us. So I loved Darter, and it brought me together with, like, complete strangers in the goal of doing the one thing I want to do with my life.
Let me ask you, is there anything, you were talking before about you never saw this as a springboard of being something else that you wanted to do, but however, like, the world's a big open place, and life is very long, I think longer than people actually think it is. But sometimes, is there anything that you're not doing now that you want to do, career-wise or anything like that? Like, what's, like, the goal?
Yeah, I want to teach. I'm like a really passionate feminist, and we're in this crazy moment in time right now where it seems like all the forces are coming together to make the world a lot better for women in film.
Mm-hmm.
Women in general, I would say it's still not so great outside of the United States, obviously, but when you look at women in film and women in American film, I really think the tide is turning right now, and it's very exciting. And so what I really would like to do is to teach about women in film, teach women film production, just anything related to empowering young women to do what they want to do, and older women, just trying to get past, because, it's like, I went to USC Film School. I'm always one of the very few women in a room or on a film set. But with Bread and Butter, I crewed up with almost entirely women. We had a female majority on set.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all about hiring women and for women to have that kind of confidence to know that they should go forward and do exactly what they want to do.
So if you're just tuning in again, we're just talking to Liz Manashil. She's the director of the new film Bread and Butter. So if you had to, Liz, if you had to talk about this movie and like sell it, like why should somebody see this movie, you should have to explain it in like a log line or compare it to another film. I know it's very hard. Very hard. I've done it, tried to do it before. I can't do it. But if you had to like pitch it to somebody, like an elevator, tell somebody, picture a situation. We're in an elevator, okay? And you had to explain your movie to somebody, pitch it to them to see it. How would you describe it?
Oh, I'm notoriously bad at this. I mean, I would say, first of all, it's like the 4-year-old virgin meets secretary. It's got a little, it's got a lot of heart, and it's about real human problems that aren't often discussed on film. Some of the other reasons why you should see it I can't mention on the radio because they're a little sassy. It's a feminist film that deals with, I hope I can say this word, with sexuality pretty frankly. And that's unusual, especially from a woman's perspective, to be treated with, for sexuality to be treated with dignity in a film. So that's pretty unusual. And it's hilarious. It's awkward and quirky and weird, and things are incredibly unexpected. And there's some, bizarre fantasy sequences and amazing performances by our cast. And they've really been nominated for all these awards, and they've won all these awards. And I couldn't be more proud to work with any of them.
So the new film movie is Bread and Butter, and you can watch it on VOD. The director is Liz Manashil, who's awesome. She's on my show, so you know she's awesome. So,
Yeah.
thank you. Anyway, so yeah, you can check that out and let us know what you guys think. You can tweet us or something like that. So
When people see the movie, I just like them to email me, and even if they hate it, I just like to know what people think, because that's why we made the movie. And so my email address is breadandbuttermovie@gmail.com, and I can tell you all the platforms it's on. I could even, if you can't afford $3.99 to rent it, I'll secretly send you a free link. I just want people to see the film.
You're an artist. I love that. No, that's beautiful. Thank you. So anyway, yes, guys, check that out. You should. I'm telling everybody who's on the show. They should. So that's the movie. Thank you so much, Liz, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.